And so we were in Nashville, and that's, it's the only time that I've ever really been to Nashville. Went up there with some friends, as well as with my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, but she was still my friend. You know what I mean?
Y'all had just met, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I don't even know what year this was. It was
like 2006.
It was a little later than that. I think it was probably maybe 2018, maybe 2019. But we went to Nashville for a concert to see Midland play at the Ryman Auditorium. But we go and they say, look, you got to go to get hot chicken when you're in Nashville, because that's their big draw. I think that's like the three things you look for when you go to Nashville is like, hey, there's going to be country music, there's going to be hot chicken, and, there's going to be, Morgan Wallen's going to throw a chair off the roof at you type deal. So make sure you wear a hard hat or duck or, just like look around at all times. So we went to Hattie B's for chicken, and, that's a pretty popular spot. I don't think they're going to hit us with any sort of slander laws or anything like that. But you walk in, you wait in line for an hour and a half to eat this chicken, right? And you think, this is going to be the best chicken of my life, probably. And you look at the scale, and there's like, they just called it regular fried chicken was like the lowest amount of heat, because I think it was just normal. And then you go up and there's like 5 or 6 different flavors. And then hot chicken was like not in the middle, but just above the middle. I was like, okay, that's probably, I was equating it to maybe like a spicy sandwich, a spicy filet at Chick-fil-A or something like that. I was like, I'll just get that. And that's what we all got. I think the hottest was like burn your mother clucking mouth or something like that. Something super cliche. But we got the hot chicken. I got some collard greens to go with it, and I think some nanner pudding as well. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about Manila wafers before on the podcast that go in the nanner pudding. And so we eat it, and we take the first bite, and I'm like, holy smokes, my mouth is on fire. And I mean, I do okay with spice. I don't do great with spice, but this was insane. Like, I thought they were playing a joke on me. Like, they gave me the mother clucking hot chicken, but apparently not. So I'm eating that, and you were a part of this. You were there. You got the same. You maybe got a lower level of spice than me, if I remember correctly.
You do remember. I think they called it the chicken spice. You're a chicken if you get this spice, because it's virtually no spice.
And it was a lot for you, right?
That would be an understatement.
Okay,
that would be an understatement, brother.
So we go and we eat this dang chicken, the chicken sandwich. It's got the pickles, whatever. And I get like halfway through it. I'm like, I don't think I can do this, because it is, my fingers are burning. My mouth is burning. My eyes are watering. So I go, oh, let's move to the collard greens. And the spice was still in my mouth. I thought they just put that spice in everything. I was like, holy cow, the collards are like the hottest, the spiciest collards I've ever had in my life. But I think it was the residual from the chicken sandwich. And then I move on. I'm like, dang, dude, I don't think I can eat this either. Surely that creamy, smooth nanner pudding is gonna extinguish my flame, so to speak. Guess what? That junk was spicy too. Everything I ate that night was on fire. It was literally, I honestly think, and I did some hot wing challenges during COVID in Gainesville, and no joke, I think this was up there with those purposefully, intensely hot spices that were on those wings. But, me and you, we stayed, I think there was a bunk bed. Maybe it wasn't even a bunk bed. We blew up an air mattress possibly, but it was in like this little kid's room in the Airbnb. I can't remember his name. I'd give him a shout out, but essentially it was me and you, and we were on this. I don't even know if it was a full size bed. It may have been a twin we were splitting. We were kind of
No, you
trying
were
to
in the
save a
top
few
bunk
pennies.
of a you were in the top bunk of a bunk bed, and I was.
Was I?
I was, yeah. But the bunk bed didn't have a bottom bunk; it had a gaming system on the bottom. And then I was on an air mattress that was disguised as a normal bed, but then you got on it, and it was definitely an air
Like,
mattress.
oh, you're like, oh, this is an air mattress. Okay, I thought we were in the same bed at that point, but my memory is failing me. But just to put it nicely, me and you took turns alternating going in and out of the restroom for pretty much the entire night. And it was kind of that phase where, whenever you have food poisoning and you're just like kind of laying on the floor of the bathroom, it was kind
I've
of like
never
that,
had
like
that, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
where you just kind of give up. You're like, I just
Yeah.
want to stay right here by the toilet because,
I've had that thought
Yeah.
many times.
yeah,
I want to get up
But-
and I want to stay right here next to the toilet.
exactly. The only difference was it wasn't food poisoning. It was just, I guess the spices had upset our tummies. And it was, I think, as Bo put it, just as spicy going out as it was going in. And I'm like, dude, you had the chicken spice level. Can you imagine if you got the dang hot chicken? I was feeling it.
You
And
have
so-
you have no idea the pain I went through that trip.
That's your truth. That's your truth to tell.
Yeah. But I agree with you that nanner pudding. I didn't have nanner pudding, but I did get ice cream, and that chicken was so hot. I literally here's the spice. Whenever I was eating that hot chicken, and so our listeners know, I love spicy, but I can't deal with it, and it's not usually what comes out that I can't deal with. It's the actual intaking of it that I can't deal with it. But I love the taste of spice. Well, whenever I got my hot chicken, I was thinking no spice. This thing was so spicy. One, you're dripping sweat. And two, you feel like you're about to pass out and vomit everywhere because you're so lightheaded. You're putting in so much work to even try to get this down. So what do? They give you ice cream. So I put ice cream on top of the chicken. And let me tell you, that was the spiciest ice cream I've had in my life. I want to go back and get even less spicy because I think that's going to taste good. And Hattie B's, they're world known, but I tell you, there was something in that. Maybe that chicken was in season. That's why it was so spicy. I don't know.
That's true. No, yeah, I just remember laying in that kid's bunk bed, just sweating, like the fan's on high, and you're like, the AC itself is on like 62. I'm like, no clothes on. I'm like, is there any way we can speed this fan up, bro? It's so hot. But yeah, whenever we ate it, we were seated outside, and it was summertime in Tennessee, so it was humid, and your hands are covered in this spicy sauce, and your entire body is sweating from eating this sandwich. And then you go to eat something that you think is going to cool you down and soothe you, and it doesn't help at all. So that was kind of that was the first little taste of hot chicken. And then, of course, we went out and said, hey, we're going to probably need to get some juice, maybe some vegetable juice, some celery juice to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. And so So we go and we stop at this fancy little, it's not a fresh market. It's a local grocer, I believe. Um, and in the back they have juice. You know, you can mix different veggies and things like that to juice. And so we all got our green juice and we're, we're, we're driving down the road drinking our juice and Bo, he's sitting behind me. I'm driving my truck and I just feel these hands around the headrest just grabbing it. I'm like, you all right, dude? And he goes, bro, we got to find a bathroom stat. I mean, this is after going to the bathroom all night the night before. You know, you'd think he would have emptied himself, gotten past that stage. But the first sip of green juice just, it ignited his body. It flipped a switch. I don't know what it was. I just imagine his, you know, like on SpongeBob, whenever he's trying to remember his name, but they've already burned everything except for fine dining and breathing. I imagine your body, your inner Bo is just running around, just hitting the abort button on your colon in the backseat of my truck. And so we pull up to a Shell station and
No.
I'll let you, this is your personal experience. I was just driving the truck. Before I could even get it parked, we're still going 10 miles an hour. This man, Bruce Willis style, jumps out of the back of my truck. Pretty sure he hit and rolled and started running, and I'll let you kind of take it from there.
Well, first, I mean, we had left this place probably 5 minutes ago. I'm not even kidding. The green shop, we left it 5 minutes. And you know commercials, how they have commercials of onset symptoms? This was an onset symptom of the green juice. And so like you were saying, I'm grabbing headrests. I'm grabbing literally anything to distract me. And we're looking for a bathroom. Well, the closest bathroom is now 15 minutes away. and we're about to go we're about to go on a hike. That's where we're headed. Which, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever think having hot chicken and then going on a hike is a good idea, change the idea. Change the plan. Well, 15 minutes roll by and we pull up to the Shell station like Brett shares. And I go to the bathroom, and it's not a Shell station where bathrooms are indoors. It's a Shell station where there's one bathroom and it's outside, and the access is outside. So I yank on the thing, and it's not opening, and we're in trouble because now I'm waddling like a penguin, and I don't even know what I do, but I think I turn around and look at Brett, and I say, I gotta go to this random coffee shop. Well, I walk about, I'd say, 70 yards to this coffee shop. And again, at this point, I don't even know what's happening. I just know I need to sit down somewhere that has an open hole at the bottom. And so I walk into the coffee shop and I go to the men's bathroom. The men's bathroom doesn't open. And I'm like, I have no options. So I open the women's bathroom. I lock the door, and the rest is history. I see Brett and the rest of the crew in about 40 minutes, and we go on a hike after that.
So maybe, I mean, ultimately, you know, if we were to do this again, I think we'd probably be a little more prepared. But I think the green juice was probably a good idea to maybe exfoliate isn't the right word, but, you know, kind of get the...
Start the excretion process.
Yeah. Exercise the demons, so to speak. So that was a fun little time that we had together. Maybe not so fun for you, but I know us in the truck, we were in the parking lot watching you pull on the handle of the bathroom door. And I'm like, come back. We'll drive you somewhere else. We've got somewhere pulled up. It's only a few minutes away. And he just takes off across the road. It was, There's cars going by. He's like holding his cheeks, running across the road. I'm like, it's like one of those, it's like watching the dang Olympics. And you're like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Go, baby, go.
There was no time to get back in the car. Oh, man. The next place I sat down, I was going to explode.
Oh, gracious.
I tell you, shout out Ryan Barrow, man. He's a great guy. That was a great trip. And he joined us on a whim. I mean, we just hit the boy up, said, "You want to come to Tennessee?" And he said, "Let's do it."
He's like, "When is it?" I was like, "We leave in 8 days." He was like, "Yeah, I'm about it." He was like, "Great. Sick." Yeah, truthfully. So that was a fun time. But I want to know what kind of fun you had the past couple weeks. We didn't have an episode last week. If you are on any of our socials, then you probably know why that is, but I don't want to steal your thunder. So tell us about your week, or weeks, plural.
Yeah, well, last 2 weeks ago was a great week. Tuesday night, we have our Bible study life group. That was June 11th, to get our dates here correct. Well, on June 11th, we, as a group, went to Pazookies at BJ's. And we got our Tuesday Pazookies on after our Bible study together. And it was just an absolutely phenomenal time. There was also a flood warning going on. And so I was walking in the doors absolutely drenched and soaked in just about every area possible. And so nothing like drying off in a BJ's waiting on a Pazookie. I mean, it's hard to beat that time together. Then I'll tell you, Thursday rolls around. Thursday's the big day. Thursday, I had jaw surgery. My upper and lower jaws, both of them, were operated on. I had a few teeth that were going to cause me problems in the future. And oral surgeon said, we need to get these out pronto. We're going to give you the good drugs. We're going to knock you out. You won't feel a thing. Well, that happens. And, well, here's a problem I ran into. I love a good cup of coffee. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I just had surgery. No coffee for a long time until I'm fully healed. Do you know what happens when you don't have coffee? Now, let me also preface, only water. No foreign substances other than water to drink. Do you know what happens when you do that?
You probably get tired if you're not allowed to have any coffee, right?
Tired is one of the symptoms, but the biggest symptom is I think I had the worst headache I think I've ever had for near 40 hours. Yeah. One, that's a sign that I was detoxing from caffeine unintentionally. But the whole time I'm thinking it's my jaw. It's my mouth. Now my mouth hurt, but I was worried that it was causing a problem in my head. Well, Sunday rolls around.
Some of my brain out when they took a tooth out,
Precisely. Precisely.
Yeah.
Sunday rolls around. I have a cup of Joe. No, that was Monday. I believe Monday is when I had the cup of Joe. Changed the world. Now the mouth was still swollen, the mouth was still sensitive, and the mouth still hurt, and I could hardly talk normal. However, the head pain, I mean, not instantly, but gone pretty quick. And so I'm just thankful that it was that simple. I'm sad, to be quite frank, that I brought that upon myself. You know, it was an unintentional consequence of going undergoing surgery and not really knowing, or perhaps I was playing it too safe, which I think is usually true, because that takes me to this week. Is Monday rolls around, I don't feel good enough for pickleball. I got to go home. Not good. Not a good Monday. Whenever you don't get to spend time with Mando Bando and the Merts. Tuesday rolls around. We're in life group. That's improvement. Wednesday is my check-in appointment. First appointment post-operation. Post-op, as the doctors say. They say, have you experienced any pain? I said, nah, I'm good.
Only the worst headache of my life.
Just the left side. The left side has been particularly sensitive. Slow to heal, slow to anger. And I was slow to speak because of that. Well, they just say, you look, this is what he says, and it meant so much, is you're healing like a champ. You're good to go. And I'm like, I've been sitting in this chair for probably 45 seconds. And my appointment has lasted for 2 minutes now. And they walk in and say, are you eating normal? And I'm thinking, I didn't know I could eat normal. I've been eating macaroni. I've been eating all kinds of soft foods. Well, then when I get the doctor's go ahead, I feel pretty confident. And so I'm starting to try these new foods. My mouth is starting to be able to expand back to its normal size, which is 51 inches agape. I was at 36 when I went into millimeters. My apologies.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what did they do to you, bro? You're like, I had a slight tongue tie. They fixed that up while they were in there as well.
Let me see how much 51 millimeters is.
I'm going to guess 1.75 inches.
2 inches. So I was at 36 at my appointment, which is 1.4 inches. So pre-op, they measured how big I can get my mouth, and it was at 51 inches, which is, I think that's above average. But again, I haven't done much research. Then Thursday rolls around. I'm feeling good. It's time to pickle. And we get going. Friday rolls around. We didn't play. Sorry. Wednesday was pickleball. Thursday was VBS rehearsal. Friday was pickleball in the morning. Then, of course, the inaugural, or the back in action, Mexican time. Post-op. First Mexican. First trial of hard chip in the mouth. And we pass it. It actually slowed me down, which was good. It caused me to eat less chips and enjoy it and be thankful for the amount of chips that I was able to eat. Then we had the chicken tortilla soup. I mean, just an instant classic. Speaking of chicken tortilla soup, I just gotta thank my parents publicly. They were on a cruise during my operating procedure, and as they were traveling home, they stopped by. And they took care of me. They entered my home. They gave gifts. You know, I kind of struggle to put words into how thankful I am for their time here, because those 2 days were the worst days of my post-operative time. And, you know, it's hard to beat a mother and father's love, you know, so long as that mother and father are attempting to reflect Christ in their love, right? And we think about the Father's love and what that means, thinking about Jesus, and we see someone who literally gives up everything for the sake of his children. literally gets killed for the sake of his children. And it's not just getting killed for no purpose, it's getting killed for the betterment of his children. And when we think of our earthly fathers and mothers, we think they are putting aside their preferences, they put aside their time, they put aside their desires for the betterment of their children. It's one of the reasons having children is the third most selfless act you can do in your life. Number one being accepting Christ as your Lord. You know, living for ourselves is, well, it's kind of in the name, selfish, don't you think?
I would agree with that for sure.
All right. Good. Marriage is a selfless act. Marriage is not easy. It's much easier to live by yourself. It's much easier to do what you want at all times. But if we go back and we look at number one, doing what we want at all times is not what we are meant to do. It's not how we fulfill our purpose in this world. And then when you're married, well, you kind of get in the flow of things. You still have your preferences, you still have your desires, and it's kind of one-on-one. But then you bring a child into this world, whether that's through physical birth, adoption, fostering, taking care of another child for someone else. You now lay down your preferences for the sake and betterment of your child, so that they would be able to see the beauty and the glory of Christ through you. It's quite a beautiful little diagram that works together in an upward motion. However, that doesn't mean there's not going to be bumps, valleys, and hills. It's not a linear line, as they say. Think about cosines, sines, and tangents if you want to think about it mathematically.
Right. Yeah. Even parabolas is something that I would think of pretty often.
Yeah, parabolas are good. And so that was my takeaway from my wisdom teeth operation.
Sorry to cut you off here, but do you think, we're talking about selflessness and selfishness? Because you knew probably that you were going to have to recover for 2 or 3 days, right? That it was going to be pretty intense after your surgery.
I didn't think it would be intense, if I'm being honest.
Have you ever seen someone or heard from someone who got wisdom teeth surgery?
Yes, I have. And by day 2 or 3, I thought they were pretty fine. But
I was going to say, do you think it's maybe a little selfish that you booked the surgery in a time and manner that you wouldn't be able to fully recover before shooting the next, quite frankly, podcast? Do you think that's a selfish act? Or where do you think that lands on the spectrum?
You want to know something extremely truthful? Is I purposely booked it on a Thursday and not Friday because I actually missed a day of work for this procedure because I thought I would be good by Sunday so that I wouldn't miss 1, church, and 2, this podcast. And what happens? Well, my head hurts so bad and I can't even think right. I'm drugged up. I mean, that was the trifecta. I couldn't even move.
What kind of drugs, if you don't mind telling us?
Well, the post-operative drugs were Vicodin.
Ooh. I've heard of that one before. Never taken it.
Yeah.
But I've heard stories.
Well, the stories are I mean, the stories, I don't know the stories, but Vicodin, it definitely relieves pain. It does
You're
a
like,
good job.
can confirm.
It does a great job of relieving pain.
And I think you also mentioned, maybe not on this podcast, but personally to me, that you had a little taste of the Zan Daddy came and visited you. Is that true?
I did
Bars?
I did put a Xanax down my gullet Thursday morning, an hour before my operative procedure. And let me tell you, Xanax, I bet you also wouldn't feel pain, but more so because I don't think you can even think. I mean, I took the Xanax. I don't know if any of this I'm sharing is illegal as well. They were prescribed jugs, everybody. They were prescribed.
Yeah. Jugs. These jugs are prescribed, baby.
So I took that, and Jackson drove me. Also, shout out to Jackson. He was great. Jackson drove me, and I don't even remember anything. I mean, I got out of the car. I walked in the thing. I walked in the office. I said, "My name's Bo Martin, here for the appointment." And this is what they say. They say, "That's great. We'll have you pay now, and we'll book your appointment." And in my mind, I don't even hardly know where I am. But that we were booking the next appointment. And so I was like, just say where I should go. And
your eyes are like one of those monkeys that have the giant eyes. You're just like, you've rehearsed your name, address, and date of birth like 30 times in the car. You're like, my name's Bo Martin. I live at this. And my birthday is this.
But I tell you, I grabbed my wallet to get the card, and I just feel like I'm moving at a pace of a sloth. And they're like, "Can you do Wednesday at 8:30? Can you do Thursday at 9? Can you do Tuesday at 6?" I'm like, Wednesday will be good.
You like put it all in the card. They're like, "Sir, this is a Chewy's gift card, and it also has $0 left on the balance. Why don't you just throw this away?"
And so they say, "Go take a seat." Well, 5 minutes cross, and they're like, "Bo Martin." I get up, and they say, "How are you today?" I said, "So good."
Like, I'm walking on clouds, baby girl.
And so I get to the chair, and they're like, they're talking through what I should do after the procedure, and I'm repeating back to them. I'm repeating back to them like I'm telling them that for the first time. And they're like,
I got a great idea.
That's a really good idea. And the doctor walks in. He says, "Hold your left fist." And then I don't remember anything else. The Xanax took me out. I mean, I fell asleep before they gave me anesthesia.
Oh, man. Slowly fading into darkness, and they let the archangels take you.
Yes. I didn't. And whenever I woke up, Jackson was sitting right across from me. I remember that. And then the next thing I remember is the lady says, "All right, we're going to get up and walk to the car." And then the very next thing I remember is me getting there, sitting down inside the car. I don't remember the walk there, but I do remember thinking, "Wow, I'm surprised I walked that fast to the car," because that's my memory. And Jackson later said, "Yeah, y'all took like 5 minutes to get to the car." and from where I was to the car was probably 50 feet.
He's in the parking lot. He's like, "Honk, honk, honk. Hurry up. What's taking so long? I got to be somewhere."
Yes. And
Oh
then
man.
I don't remember the car ride there. All I remember is getting out of the car. I turned on Royal Pains at my apartment, and then I woke up.
Dang. Did Jackson get any good videos? Obviously, he got the plug for merch that is on our it's on our socials. But did you say did you say anything else? Because Molly, when Molly had her wisdom teeth removed, we were in the middle of Real Housewives of Orange County, and so she was going off about how she thinks Jen is not she's not good to Ryan, even though he seems like he's really trying his best. She's just not being a great person to him. She was really kind of in her feels. Did you have anything like that?
I don't know. I haven't seen the video of me in the car. I think Jackson took one, but what he said is you didn't really do much. All you kept saying was, I have so much work to do. When am I going to get it done? And that was sad to hear.
Yeah, I feel like when you're under the influence like that, really the core, really what's inside bubbles to the top because you have no control. There's no suppressing it. So I've always been afraid of what I might say. I might say something that I don't even know about. Like, man, I wish I hadn't killed that lady 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's pretty.
But
crazy.
that's the beautiful thing, is you're not going to remember what you said. So it basically didn't happen.
Right.
So that's all. That was all good. Overall, great experience. I now have holes in my mouth that I have to inject water into to clean them out, so food doesn't get closed in. And today was church. I was over at the Southwest campus helping out with worship. Then we had VBS rehearsal tonight. I got back into the exercise groove this week, which was good. I really feel like I'm missing out whenever I don't and can't. And that happened whenever I was incapacitated. And that was good. Then I've been watching a lot of Royal Pains, kind of like what we said earlier. And I'm on the last season, so hope to finish that up. And now we're hitting this podcast. It's been quite some time, 2 weeks, in fact, since we've last seen each other. And Zach Allen was with us. And that was a surprisingly good episode for a guy who's never listened to the podcast. So that was that. So let me ask you this, if you don't mind. What has the past 2 weeks been like for you?
I'm not gonna lie. The past 2 weeks have been pretty jam packed. Let's see. On I want to say Tuesday of not this past week, but the week before, we had our annual project manager summit. So that's down in Naples, where our headquarters is. So they sent the car for me to drive down to Naples, put me up in the hotel. Just kidding. They didn't send a car for me. I had to drive, but we did I think they started at 9:30 on Tuesday, maybe. So left early Tuesday morning, went down there, and then you're just kind of in these trainings pretty much for the whole day. We were supposed to go to a baseball game. I think it's the Mighty Muscles is the minor league team down there. They had like a box for us with food and stuff like that, but it was absolutely pouring. Just I think across all of Southwest Florida last 2 weeks, it's been just absolutely pouring. So to no one's surprise, the game was canceled. So we had to go bowling instead, slightly less exciting. But I will say this, there was a lot of food and drink at the bowling alley. It was a fun time. I didn't even look, I don't bowl. I'm not good at bowling, but I did get the high score of the night. And there's a couple folks there who are self-proclaimed bowlers. Like, oh man, if I had known we were bowling, I would have brought my own shoes and ball. And they got out there and there was a lot of gutter balls. I'm like, what are you doing owning your own stuff if you're out here throwing gutter balls? So I just get the heavy ball, throw it down the middle, and let it do the work. You know what I mean? Any variance is okay, but I'm not trying to get crazy and spin it up one side and down the other.
Do you do 3 holes in, 2 holes in, 1 hole in, or no hole in?
If I'm trying to get crazy and spin it, if I'm not going for like a high score, I'll just go 2, just like these 2, and then the thumb I leave out. That way I can curl it in, rear back, and freaking rip it like a slider. But when I'm trying to do go high, so to speak, I go get the heaviest ball I can find, go 3 fingers in the 3 holes, and just look right down the middle and throw it nice and easy and let the ball do the work. You got all that mass, and it's the heavy ball. Throw the heavy ball, let it do the work. That's what I kept saying. So, but because I won, I got a logo Carhartt backpack. So that's been pretty great. I think MSRP's for like 70, $80, something like that. So that was pretty sick. And then like 80% of the people left bowling after like an hour because a lot of them live in Naples and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go home and hang out. But us Sarasota guys, we were like, look, we don't have anywhere to be. So we went to an establishment that does karaoke on Tuesday nights.
Big karaoke guys, those DeAngelis Diamonds are.
I guess so, dude. I guess so. But yeah, no, I went and my buddy Parker, he got up and sang 2 songs. He did a duet with this other girl at our company. I didn't do anything, but I think the first one he did was Whose Boots Have Your Bed Been Under? And I had never heard the song before. But I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, I'm sure. But it was before my time, and I think it was Shania Twain. And I'm not a huge... So it was a little something like that. And he did another song. I can't remember what it was, but there was this one guy who was there and had this big beard. He had silver rings on every single one of his fingers, and they were all just like skulls. Big biker vibes. He's got a hat. He's wearing it backwards. It says "Saved by Satan." I was like, oh, this dude really could probably use some intervention of some sort. He gets up there and you're like, what is this dude going to do for karaoke, And he gets up and does Santeria by Sublime. I was like, you're going to, it's one of the songs, you got to go for it if you're going to do it. And he went for it and he killed it. And he did some other songs as well. And he was definitely kind of seemed like a disturbed individual, but he was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. And there was one guy who got up and he was he was a white guy, pretty clean cut. And, without cursing and saying exactly what he said, these girls had gotten up and done a song before him and he gets up and he goes, I can't remember what the place was called. He was like, how about that, karaoke park? That was effing awesome. And everyone was like, whoa. And then the music starts and it's like a slow Ed Sheeran song. I was like, bro, you can't get everybody hyped like that and then just go into some Ed Sheeran song. But, it was funny. It's just so interesting, the people that you meet at karaoke. But this was more legit than Duffy's. Duffy's was so sad. But these people, they seemed like they were trying to get discovered, Oh. So if you ever want your music career to pop off, I would suggest going down there and hitting up a little karaoke.
Yeah, that's
So,
actually a great idea.
and then Wednesday we had like the first half of the day we had more trainings and stuff, and then we just drove home. Um, and that was kind of that Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday was normal. Friday I had to go up and do like we were doing like a kickoff meeting for all of our trades for a job we have in Brandon. So I helped give a presentation up there on that. And then I kind of left it like after lunch. I was like, hey, can I just work from home the rest of the day? Because I'm already up north. Don't want to have to drive past my house south to go to the office for a couple hours. So came back to the house, worked till like 3, and then loaded up the truck. And me, Molly, and Stetson went to Disney for the first time ever as a family. And let me tell you what, it was, I don't even know the cost. I told Molly, I said, book it. I'm just disassociating from this because I feel like I wouldn't have a good time if I knew how much it actually cost. So there's an
Oh
element
boy.
of, yeah. There's an element of maybe ignorance is bliss there. I will say the water bottles and everything inside the park were incredibly expensive. So I'm sure the park tickets and we stayed there on Friday night on property at one of like the medium level hotels. And it was fun. I think it was Caribbean Beach maybe is where we stayed. And Stetson's favorite part, he went on, we went on all the kids rides, but I think his favorite part was riding on the bus, the shuttles to go to Disney Springs for dinner that night, and back, and then, to the park and back on Saturday. But he's a big wheels on the bus guy. And so we're on the bus and he's pointing, saying bus, saying truck at the cars, truck that drives
Wow.
by, beep, beep, beep all the time. So yeah, I was like, dude, can we just not go to the park and just let him ride the dang bus all day? I mean, that would cut the cost of the trip in half, honestly, and be a little more cost efficient. But we had a really good time. Didn't get to explore any of the tunnels or anything like that underneath Magic Kingdom. But if I was there by myself, I think I would have probably ventured a little more into the layer of the rat overlord, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, that was Friday and Saturday. It was really fun. Sunday went to church. Nothing crazy really. And then this past Tuesday, the job that I went up to on Friday to give a presentation for, that owner of that job was in town and he was wanting to go out to dinner with the project team in Tampa. So I had like a meeting at 4. The dinner was at 6:15 in Tampa. So I finished the meeting at like 5, run out to my truck, drive up an hour and a half to Tampa. I'm like late. And we get there and it's this place called Noble Rice. And it's all sushi and, Japanese things. And this dude, the project owner's rep, whatever, is apparently he's huge into sushi, like been to Japan 3 or 4 times. So the whole time he's like educating me on what the different cuts of tuna are. And he's, going around, hey, Brett, you ever had sake? I was like, no, I never have. He was like, let's get a bottle of sake for the table. I was like, all right, dude. He was, ordering big time, right? When we go to order, he gets the tuna flight, with all the fatty cuts of the tuna and things like that. Yeah, so big orderer on that particular dinner. But really, when you wine and dine with the clients, that's kind of how it rolls. But we had a fun time. Had a lot of. I'll say the sushi was probably the best sushi I've ever had in my life. They also had this pork belly. I think it was maybe fried, but it literally melted in your mouth. It was just
Ooh,
so dang good. So good.
yummy.
So it's a possible date night location in the future. So that was Tuesday night. Wednesday, Thursday were pretty typical. Friday night we had our friends Andy and Karina over for dinner. Molly made her world famous enchiladas, with the cream cheese and all the, herbs, chicken, things like that. She likes to say that it's your dad's recipe, but I know that he didn't make it. I know that it's kind of her brainchild. So we had that, had some cookies as well afterwards. Yeah, and just kind of like just chatted for a good while. And it was a good time. It's just, it's nice being able to hang out and Stetson's in bed, so it's just carefree, hanging out, just chatting, getting to know people. Was a really fun time. So that was Friday, and then Saturday, it again rained for most of the day Saturday, so it was didn't really do a ton. And then today we served in the children's ministry. We were the greeters, and then went to Sunday school after that. So it was an exciting 2 weeks. A lot of firsts, and definitely some really fun times mixed in there.
Yeah, that is exciting, man. And jam-packed, exactly like you said. And just one quick word on Andy, of Andy and Karina. I've had the pleasure of meeting Sir Andy, and let me tell you one thing about Andy. Absolutely lovely gentleman. I mean, I really enjoyed my time with Andy. And Andy, you might think, is short for Andrew. But in this case, we would be wrong. It's actually short for Andrigo. And that was something that I had to come face to face with when I asked him that myself.
Yep.
And so, Andrigo, I'm sorry for getting your name wrong at first.
No, it's something he still kind of brings up to me every once in a while. It's like, dude, your brother-in-law, he's always, at one time he's just calling me the wrong name like crazy, but he forgives you. And they're both from Boston. So big Celtics guys, not to rub it in or anything like that, but he was riding pretty high this past week whenever I talked to him. So, I wasn't sure if you had timed your surgery up with kind of the finals, the inevitable downfall of the Mavericks, so that you could kind of self-medicate and say, oh, I've got this surgery coming up, but we know your train of thought there.
Yes, at the time of my scheduling of the surgery, I thought there was no chance that the Mavericks were even making it to the finals. And so, much to my surprise, I watched them lose the finals.
I actually don't know. I don't know how the final game actually lined up with your with your surgery.
The Mavericks are terrible. I mean, they're great. Hear me when I say that, they're great. But they just played pitifully. But I'm proud of them, man. 2011, I think, was the last year. Texas is finally getting back into semi-normal competition other than the Cowboys. And so you just kind of, oh well with the Cowboys. I mean, they're never going to win until Jerry Jones is gone. And that's just the fact. As the manager, Jerry Jones be the owner. I want Jerry Jones as the owner because, one, incredible connections, two, extremely wealthy, can pour into the Cowboys. But as the manager of the team, the chief operating officer, etc., not good. Not good.
Okay.
But that's life, man.
It is life. Yeah, I was about to say, obviously, you guys, the Rangers won the World Series. Basketball goes to I guess they just call it the finals, the NBA finals. Hockey, they weren't too bad this year, made it to the playoffs, made a decent run. So, yeah, it sounds like the Cowboys really need to step it up because they're kind of, out of all the Dallas teams, seems like they're slacking.
Yes. Patience is the name of the game. And one quick note on sports. They don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Your team loses, oh well. You have a bad coach for the team you root for, oh well. I think we put too much value on winning sporting events and being good sports teams that we begin to devalue the life of the people on those teams. And that's just something we got to be careful about. At the end of the day, should we be more concerned with the success of a team or the betterment of a human? And I'll leave that for the listeners to decide for themselves, but there is a correct answer, and I hope you'll discover it. With that, it takes me to a thing that I've been wondering for the past 2 weeks about you. Is what is your song of the week?
My song of the week is by Ghost Ship. Don't worry. It's not the same album as the others. Want to make sure we follow our Charity Gale rule of only one song per album per artist.
Yes.
But this one is called The Revelation of Jesus Christ by Ghost Ship. I was jamming out to this one to and from church this morning. So it's an absolute banger. How about you?
I saw this song because I was searching, quite frankly, on Spotify, and this artist, Quiet Ferocity, showed up, and they wrote a song, or no, that's the album name, sorry. The Jungle Giants is the band name. Well, they wrote a song called Used to Be in Love, and again, I don't really listen to the lyrics, so I can't really tell you if the lyrics mean anything deep, but the vibe and the sound of the song is one that I enjoyed. And so that will be my song of the week.
Definitely looks like an interesting crew for sure.
I also have not researched the band, so this could be a bad suggestion, and I just ask for grace in that moment.
That's fair enough. And look, I'm here to extend grace. This is a bad dad joke, but our preacher, he went up on Father's Day, and I hope I don't just botch this dad joke, but he was like, he told a dad joke in honor of Father's Day, and he was like, yeah, everyone tells me that I'm great at baking, so I think I'm gonna open up a bakery called Grace Abonds. He said, because where sin abounds, grace abounds even more. I was like, that boo, boo. Not good, dude. It was kind of funny though. I laughed at it. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed pretty hard at it. So
that's a class. I mean, that's a funny one. That's a funny. Did you really just say that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, but he led it on. He led the sermon off with it, which I can appreciate. I was like, that's what we need. We need more dad jokes in this industry,
Oh yeah, God created humor. God has a sense of humor. Why would we not use it? It'd be an abomination. Abomination.
Fair enough. Well, do you have any closing remarks? Anything like that?
No, other than, again, ladies and gentlemen, our podcast survives because of your generous giving. And we have 5 committed subscribers, and we're thankful for that. And I'm just wondering if there's one more out there that could hit that mark. And there's certainly no pressure, and we're not going to pressure you. But it would mean a great amount to both of us if you were on the edge of subscribing, thinking about subscribing, kind of teeter-tottering on subscribing, or maybe not even know that this podcast exists and you just hear this for the first time. It's $2.99 a month. I mean, we've said it before. Lots of things you can get for $3 in this world. Very rarely will you get a high-quality piece, a fruitful and fulfilling piece, and one that challenges you and encourages you to love others deeply and generously for $3. You're just not going to find that kind of deal in the world. And if that's not your mojo, then I would encourage merch. I really would encourage a 5-star review. It really helps this podcast. And why do we ask that you do this? Well, it's to fuel our mission of loving others deeply and generously. Those are my final thoughts. How about you?
No, those are great. And I think, speaking to your word about folks who are maybe, teetering, I think everyone across this room, we can, I'll close our eyes. You know what I mean? And, even if you're on the edge, I want you, I would just love it if you had the faith to just raise your hand if you're ready to subscribe to the podcast. I see you in the back. I see you, young lady. I see you. But yeah, no, I think I'm going to be honest. I think we're pretty close, man. I think for a long time we were struggling to keep our head above water. It's kind of like calicocutpants.com. It's like PBS. If you don't give, it goes dark, and we're just kind of eating hamburgers because that's all we can afford. But I think we're close. I believe, not to disclose all of our financials here. That's not what I'm here to do. But I think we're maybe a couple subscribers away from being self-sufficient. Is that true?
That is fact. That is fact.
And I won't give an exact number, because if I give an exact number, then all of you out there who are teetering won't actually step out and do it. You'll say, I'll do it some other time. I'll maybe some other day I'll step out and do it, but who knows, what if your Spotify crashes tomorrow? What would you do? Where would you go? What podcast would you listen to? So those are my closing words. Also, I'd love if you all went out and watched Bo's video on TikTok. Well, it's on Quite Frankly's page, but I think it's amazing that, as we talked about, whenever you're on these drugs and different hallucinogenics and things like that, that what's deep in your core bubbles to the surface. And we have a video of Bo just pouring out his heart, asking the Quite Frankly Nation to purchase merch, to subscribe. He says in the video, I've shed my blood for you, essentially. So that's what bubbled to the top, was the selflessness and the love for our fans and for our followers and for the people who are just listening for the first time. So, Bo, I'll let you give us a little salutation, because that video really spoke to me. I'll let you close this out from there.
Well, I would just say exactly like you said, it bubbles to the top. And the love we have for you, we couldn't do it without you. And you mean so much to us. And Sorry, I'm getting choked up. Yeah. This podcast has changed my life. And that's not an over exaggeration. It's not an under exaggeration. It is an exact Asian. Because when you are committed to deep and generous love, you see change and you affect change. And because we love you deeply and generously, we're going to see you in 7 days.